got your name right there.
Zubyda.
Zubyda, sorry, so I knew I'd get that wrong. From Rare Minds. Now, Rare Minds became a registered charity in October this year. Their aim is to provide affordable and specialist counselling and to ensure that mental health support is an integral part of the rare disease journey. So as we know, living in the age that we do, mental health affects various aspects of our lives. I can't imagine as a parent having a child born with a rare condition and all that which it brings. Going to various hospital appointments, looking at the physical side of the condition, to taking time off work, to focusing on other children within the family. I imagine quite often the mental health of a parent is something that's put on the back burner. And then you have the mental health of the child themselves. As they grow, become more aware of themselves and their condition and the world around them. And also as an adult, really, I think, I'm very aware of, obviously I look visually different. And living with that can be very hard, the stares and the comments. But also at the same time, I'm a person who's very proud to actually have been born with PROS. But also at the same time, I kind of acknowledge that saying of it's okay not to be okay. So, such a huge topic, and I'm very grateful to have Zubyda here with us today to kind of talk about this important subject. So I shall leave you to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mandy. Hello, everyone. I'm very glad to be here with you all today. And I am going to talk about mental health and emotional well-being, which is a huge subject. So I'm going to try not to race through everything, and there'll be a lot of things that I say that you might feel, oh, that's obvious, or I know that, or I've got that, but there might be some things that you think, oh, I didn't think of that. And so you might not take away everything from the talk, but find what resonates with you and sort of try to apply it. I'm going to start off by, although Mandy introduced us really, really well, my name is Zubyda. I'm a psychoanalytic psychotherapist, and I work with a charity, an organization called Rare Minds. Now, we are the first, as far as we know, we are the first organization to work with the rare disease community with mental health and emotional well-being. We're a team, I think we're more than 9 right now, because the demand is very, very high. We're a team of counsellors and psychotherapists. We've got post-qualification training specifically for rare disease counselling, because it is, you might have had some experience in this area. It's very different going to just a regular general counsellor or therapist, or a therapist who actually knows about your condition, so you don't have to spend half your time explaining what's going on with you. All our services are, well, most of our services are online, so that we're more accessible to people. What we do generally is we provide couples and individual counselling, group programs, workshops, self-help psychoeducational resources. We also work with frontline workers. We provide rare leader training and group supervision and consultancy, workshops, training, and courses for healthcare professionals. The aim of everything that we do, coming to talking conferences, doing the research, is to raise awareness so that we can raise the funding within the different rare disease communities. Now, this sentence is possibly, if you're not going to take anything from what I say, please remember that sentence, that there is no health without your mental health. The relationship between physical and mental health is established. You can't pull them apart, that they are connected. If you have poor mental health, it can impact on your physical health and your capacity to self-care and feel that you're resilient enough to get through day-to-day life. If you have poor physical health, it has higher rates of depression and higher rates of anxiety. So really, the two are just as important. Now, we know that life is busy enough, and living with PROS just adds another dimension to it with its own challenges. And you might feel this physically, practically, emotionally, and within your relationship dynamic. There are ways to manage life better. There always is. I'd imagine that most of you recognize these situations where you might have had a lengthy or traumatic even diagnosis, which may have, or even just appointments, which may have led to a decreased trust in your healthcare professionals. This can be down to low disease awareness amongst the professionals, the public, which leaves you feeling quite isolated and alone, which is why days like this are really important, when you can come together. Any condition, certainly a rare one, comes with multiple uncertainties and high anxiety levels. There might be a high financial burden managing and caring for yourselves. The emotional impact that it can have sometimes, where you have to go to your treatments, and the impact of different symptoms. Feelings of difference and isolation. There are times where the interaction between your physical and emotional symptoms might feel a little bit confusing. There are times where you might not be able to differentiate, is this something going on with my condition, or is this something that's happening to me emotionally? Sometimes it can be quite difficult to separate them. It might be both. The stress and the strain that it can sometimes place on your family life and your relationships. Visibility and invisibility, that's something we'll touch on again. But there is this, do I want to be visible? Do I want people to acknowledge and to see me? Sometimes you might, maybe always. Sometimes you might not. And the impact your condition may have on your identity. Does it become all of who you are, or just a really important part of who you are? And how it impacts on your life choices. And some of your life choices, because of your condition, might feel like a loss of some sort. It's not how you imagined it. Now, all of these things bring out emotions, they bring out feelings. Now, all of these feelings are difficult feelings, and they're feelings that a lot of the time we might not want to admit even to ourselves, and it's quite difficult to say them out loud. That you might, if you just take a look at them, you don't have to do anything with them, but just see if you recognize them. Low mood, depression, resentment, fear, envy, anger, despair, grief, loss, relief, disbelief. All really difficult feelings. We all have them. It's really important to recognize what's going on with us, because a lot of the time we feel very, very out of control. And feeling out of control causes a lot of fear and anxiety. So a sense of self-awareness allows you to navigate your choices and know what's going on. And it will bring your anxiety levels down when you know what's going on with you. Feelings they do come and go, but they can revisit around your condition when your disease might be progressing, or your child's growing awareness of what might be happening to them, might be happening to you, and you're having to answer questions that are difficult to speak to. Going to hospital appointments, having your treatments, possibly surgery, scans, life stages and choices. Do I get into this relationship? Should I have children? Should I have more children? Going to university, leaving home, transitions that are all sort of changes, and changes can be scary. When you might occasionally compare your lifestyles with others, other possibly more able-bodied people who don't have pros. And that can bring up some difficult feelings. Noticing your limitations and difficulties, how you need to get about doing things, how you might need to adapt things in order to make things possible. Always remember that feelings ebb and flow. They come and they go. It's really important to notice them, try to name them, try as much as you can not to push them away. They only end up growing or getting buried, and they will come up again. They don't just disappear. So always notice them. Don't judge yourself for feeling the way that you feel. You feel the way that you feel. When you're aware of what's going on and how you're feeling, then it also helps you to recognize what is helpful for you at that time. Now, if you're feeling particularly anxious, or you have a hospital appointment or a procedure that you're fearful of, then you might want to go off and sit with somebody who will listen to you, not try to solve your problems, not try to give you all the answers, but just sit there and listen. Now, identifying who is in your life that can provide you with that kind of support is really important, because if you choose the wrong people, it'll only make things worse. So when you know who is good for what, then it really does help you manage your difficult moments. Also being aware of what you need. Maybe you need to be alone, maybe you need to be distracting yourself with TV episodes, cooking, doing the ironing, whatever works for you. But it's very helpful to just identify, know what you need at that particular time. Also learning how to let the feelings pass or reduce. Sometimes when we have powerful emotions, they can make us sort of panic and think, this is the way that I'm going to feel all the time, this is never going to change. That does not happen. Feelings ebb and flow. They do pass. They might come back, but they won't always remain the same. Notice what and who helps when the feeling is visiting you. Disability. According to the disability unit of the Cabinet Office, a visible disability is a disability or health condition that is immediately apparent to others. This can include mobility aids, such as wheelchair or crutches, or a visible physical impairment. How do we feel around the word disability? People feel many different ways about this word. Some people perceive it as positive. They feel that disability helps them be acknowledged and understood. They're catered for, they don't need to explain anything. Just understand that I am disabled. Some people carry it in a very negative way. It implies that prefix of dis. It implies a lacking of sorts, being different. Some people might not want to be different, they want to just blend in. You might have both feelings, positive and negative. living with a visible disability. That sort of changing between what do I want today, what do I need today? Do I want to be seen, or do I want to be invisible? There's not a camp that you need to be sitting in. You are perfectly entitled to feel differently about the same thing at different times. And that's why it's really important to know and recognize your needs. Being different can sometimes make you feel very alone. Again, really important to find your tribe, to find your community. One can feel very misunderstood. You might not have the energy to explain again and again and again. Also fearful. People can be cruel out there. Always remember that you cannot control how other people behave, but you can decide how you want to respond to people or to any kind of situation. This empowers you. It doesn't hand over the power to the other. You have your own agency. A lot of you might recognize this. This is used quite a lot to help kind of create an image of how to carry and manage our stresses in day-to-day life. Now, if you imagine that your internal world, your capacity is a bucket. I'm sure they could have chosen a better vessel, but a bucket. And the bucket is full, half full, with ordinary life. You know, your ongoing stuff, day-to-day, week-to-week issues, ongoing demands, just your day-to-day stuff. And you know that your day-to-day stuff fills sort of half your capacity, half your bucket. Now, when you're living with a rare condition like Crohn's, bucket fills all the way up. You've got your uncertainty, managing your symptoms, coping with all the difficult thoughts and feelings that you might have. Friends and family, your healthcare team, which is a really important relationship, and your fears about the future. All of that takes additional emotional energy, aside from all the normal day-to-day life. So the awareness, actually, okay, and my bucket is full. Think how much of your bucket is filled by managing and coping and living with your condition. And that will give you, and that might change. I'm sure it does change from day to day when you have good days, bad days. And then it'll help you assess how much you can take on in that day. Today I'm having a great day, so I can get and do all the things that I need to do. I can meet this person, meet that person. Today I'm not having a great day, so I need to say no today. And always remember that saying no today does not mean saying no forever. It means let's just wait till tomorrow, wait till next week. But a sense of self and gauging how much you can and cannot take on is really, really important. Knowing your stress signs. Now, we are all very, very different, but recognizing and being self-aware, if you tap into yourself, you'll know your own signs. In that if you find that you're sleeping a little bit more than usual, not sleeping very well, you might be eating everything that's in the house, or you might not be eating anything at all. You might be avoiding people, situations, feeling that you're more agitated than usual, shutting down, feeling low. We signal to ourselves. We just have to notice ourselves. We have to notice what is going on and what our body and our mind is trying to tell us. And it usually does indicate when we need to slow down, when we need to take a break. We just need to notice. don't try and push your difficult feelings away. I know nobody wants to feel difficult feelings, but pushing them away won't make them go away. They will come back. And don't be critical of yourself for feeling the way that you feel. Notice what you're like. That's about noticing your sort of stress signals. I know that when I'm like this, it means I'm going to kick off on one, or I need to sleep, or I need to eat more, or eat less. Your self-knowledge can inform and enable your choices and help you make better choices, the right choices for you. Knowing how much you need. Now, your loved ones, your family, your friends, your healthcare team, they're all there to help you and support you. Now, think about your feelings around being helped. How much is actually helpful? Does it make you feel dependent? Does it take away your independence? When people who love you possibly rush up and try to help you do things, does that make you doubt or think about your capacity to do things? Does it feel like you are being your sense of independence, your sense of capability around your house, or that's being taken away from you? And perhaps communication here is really important, where you're very clear about what help you do need, how much help you do need, and what is helpful and what is not. I know everybody goes on and on about mindfulness, and it is a wonderful thing. I'm not taking anything away from that. I recommend it highly. But I also recommend that there are times, with all the sort of self-awareness that I've been talking about, there are times where it's really beneficial for you to be mindfully mindless. Take a break from it. Just give yourself half an hour, whatever it is, to just switch everything off. You're doing this consciously, and it could be something different for anybody. You could be dancing around your house, you could be doing the washing. For me, it's ironing. I've said that before. I think it's ironing and doing the dishes. That switches it off for me. Now, different things will work for different people, but it is always good to just quieten down the mind just for a moment. Sort of rounding up a little bit what feels like we've just raced through. 7 healthy habits. Self-awareness, really, really important. Practical self-care. Acknowledging and allowing your difficult feelings. Learn about your condition. Come to things like this where you can all come together and share your experiences and not feel so alone and isolated. Work with your team. Your medical team, I always feel, it's a bit like a marriage, actually. It can be hard work, but it's a really important relationship, which you need to maintain, and you need to feel heard and understood. Find your community. Helping others help you. That's communicate, communicate, communicate. Do not hesitate to say what you need. Do not hesitate to tell people what is helpful and what is not helpful. It's important for both people in the relationship. It takes a physical and emotional toll. Accept the feelings that you have. Notice your stress signs. Know who's good for what. Looking after yourself emotionally is integral to your journey. Just to finish off, these are some really lovely quotes that I found. That your condition is a really important part of you. Mike said, I wouldn't have chosen to have all of this, but I do see life differently now. I don't sweat the small stuff as much. I used to be stressed out all of the time, but I think I'm probably nicer to be around now. And then Maddie said, it's weird. It's part of who I am now. I wouldn't be me without it. I'd be somebody else. And I don't mind who I am, even my scars, which I never thought I'd say. RD, I felt frightened at first and couldn't cope, but I've learned to accept the ups and downs and take things a bit at a time. My counselor says, just doing the next thing, that's all. I feel good about realizing I'm stronger than I thought I was. I don't know if you'd like to take a picture of this or if any of this might be helpful, but there's some useful organizations there that you might want to tap into. Now, I know it can feel very awkward and difficult to ask questions in a room full of people, especially when it comes to mental health and emotional well-being. But if you have any experiences that you might want to share that other people might find helpful, or if you have any questions, I'm very happy to try to answer them for you. If you don't, if you think that that's a little bit too exposing, then I will be around, and feel free to approach me whenever you want.